So Andy, ahead of the first game at Fratton Park, everyone's going to be coming into a new look stadium. How difficult of a task has it been?
Well, it's been a mammoth task. To actually complete this work in 12 weeks is absolutely incredible. It's been a Herculean effort from Steve Cripps, PMC, all the team of contractors that we've had on site to get us to a position where we can use every available seat on Saturday in the stadium. And that's something that's not happened, I don't think, for well over sort of 20 years before the full capacity has been able to be used. Year on year, we've seen safety restrictions come into play as the ground has deteriorated and some areas fallen into disrepair. And we started off last season, coming into the season where we only had 15,000 of a 20,000 capacity stadium available to us. We were able to increase that slightly up to 16.5. Obviously it got reduced when we started the work in the North Stand lower. But to do this in 12 weeks, not just get all the seats in place, but to get the concessions and the bars onto a position where we can actually serve fully on Saturday is absolutely magnificent. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's played their part in getting us ready for today. I'd also like to pay thank you to supporters as well, because for their patience and support, I think there's been a degree of understanding that some people have seen their positions move slightly to the left and the right, particularly in the South Stand as seats have been reprofiled. We've tried our level best to make sure that supporters can continue to sit with family, can sit with their friends. That's been really important to us. And we've got to a stage now where we haven't sold any new season tickets in the South Stand or the North Lower, so that over these first two games, if people still aren't comfortable with where they are, they've got plenty of options where they might be able to relocate to. And that's been difficult because we've had a huge demand for new season tickets. Over 2,000 new season tickets have been sold amongst the 13,000 season tickets holders that will be here for the first game of the season. So they've taken up seats in the Fratton end, or they've taken up seats in the North Upper. But from after the first two games, they can start to move around and choose some new seats themselves. So we've got a lot of work to get through August and September. It's not going to be perfect on day one. I think I need to manage everyone's expectations because, there'll be TVs in the wrong place. Some of the bar queuing systems will need to be re-evaluated. But that's where the feedback would be really important to us, because we're determined to listen and we're determined to get everything right over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So come September and October, we're in a position where everything is functioning as our supporters would expect.
Sounds like some fantastic work. Let's go and take a look. So Andy, we're here at the front of the North Stand. Just talk us through some of the improvements to the disabled facilities down here.
Well, this is part of the big project to improve disabled facilities, accessible facilities at Fratton Park. This is the new seats that we've got here in the North Stand west corner of the stadium. Space for a number of different wheelchairs to come in, up to 10 wheelchairs in this particular section. We got some good feedback from the first game, particularly in terms of the front of this stand as well. So supporters who sat here last time, we were pleased to see we put some protective layer in here to prevent the wheelchairs slipping. But we are obviously retaining the seats at the front of the Fratton Park. We've got a new disabled platform in the South Stand as well, which takes another 5 seats. And towards the top of the North Stand, towards where the control room is, we currently have just put in space for another 5 wheelchair seats. Now that is for the future, because going forward we're going to have a situation where we will have lift access taking disabled supporters up to some higher levels, which coincides with the work that we're going to be doing for disabled seating for away fans and some extra seating as well for home fans in that particular area.
So on to the North Lower. This bar has been here for a while, so what's the feedback been like and what else has changed down here as well?
Well, this is a new concept we introduced halfway through last season, so a central island for a bar, which means that supporters can queue either side without restricting the gangway through here. The beauty of this particular bar again is it now has its own cellar just beyond me, underneath that stairwell over there. And then obviously draft dispense units in here now properly chilled through a Python system. This is part of the Python system, which will be boxed in due course. And then out here we have the ability to serve supporters outside the North Stand. So pre-match, before the gates open, if people want some refreshments, they can come to this particular bar and be served. But perhaps more effectively at half-time, supporters who want to go outside to create more space, we open these gates up in a compound area and they can be served from outside, and people can also go outside there and smoke if they want to as well. So it's a secure smoking area outside the stadium. And if we continue walking through here, you can see a huge amount of new televisions installed into this area as well. Again, we hope that will add to the matchday experience. We've improved these all the way along this particular concourse. As I said, we've got a new cellar in this area here, so again it means that a number of new cellars that mean we can start to chill beer and serve that dispense, and we won't get necessarily the frothing problems that I think have occurred in the past and affected our dispense units. And then as we move down this area, you can see that the floor, still a bit of work being done, a lot of painting being done still, but everything being tarmac down here, so a much smoother and consistent floor space. We've got a new accessible toilet here as well, which complements the new DDA facilities that we've got. And then to the right of these, we have a situation where we have 5 new women's cubicles into here as well. So again, increasing the provision for our female supporters, which is really, really important to us as more and more women and girls start to attend and enjoy regular football. And perhaps the biggest area up here, this is probably the most popular bar in the stadium. And what we've done here again is, I think people will recall the old hut effect that was here before. We've now got a far more modern feel to it. You can see a greater number of dispense points, the tea bars up here serving cider, lager, Budweiser as well. We will have the Pompey lager in here as well. And as you can see, a huge number of till points as well. The stadium is cashless, but again it means hopefully we can improve the speed of service. And then beyond here as well, we have created an area where supporters can move away from the bar, and all the condiments, sauces, etc. will all be placed in this particular section here, again to move people away from the bars quickly so we can serve more people. And perhaps a really good thing here in this area here, particularly at half time, this area is now enclosed. Previously the area above me was all open to the elements, and it means that supporters coming to this particular area now can take the food, take the drink away and be in a dry environment as well. So again, it creates extra space, which will be great in terms of, again, enabling us to provide a better service at the bars and concessions. Again, as part of the improved DDA facilities at the ground, the accessible facilities for supporters, you'll see up here we've got some more seats that will accommodate wheelchairs in due course. Ultimately, at the moment, we will need these to be serviced by a lift, which will be installed next year as part of the Milton End redevelopment. But again, it enables disabled supporters to be undercover in wheelchairs and come up to the higher level and get a view of the game that they previously have not been able to enjoy. For next season, we can still use these seats. They may be of particular interest to some of our elderly supporters who may struggle with the steps down to the seats in the lower section, or even going up to the upper section. So these will be available. I think if people are interested in these, have a particular need, then please let us know at the ticket office so we can allocate you some seats for specific games.
So we're down in the south stand now. Can you just talk us through some of the changes down here?
Massive changes in the south stand. We're in the southeast corner as we speak here, so this is an interesting area. Again, you can see the sort of the bar here, the horseshoe bar that comes round, so that we can then again create more serving space away from the concourses, but also around this side as well. This will be completed on Saturday with all the dispense points going on. You can see over there the unit ready to be installed. So we've got a couple of more days to get everything ready in time for Saturday, but well on schedule to make sure that we've got the bar, again, this bar serviced by a cellar. So really good for us in terms of you can come away from this particular area. And you'll see here we've positioned 2 television sets over here again just to bring people round the bar. We started to put some additional shelving units. As pit supporters may be aware, we've launched a matchday experience working party and Part of that has been looking at some of the basics that we need to get right. Shelving, if you're having a pie and a pint and you're in a crowd, it's very difficult to potentially hold both. So the shelving units will come into play, and we're looking at putting more of those in. The nice thing about this particular area is, obviously pre-match this door is locked, but at half time we can then open these gates here, and we can open up this area here, which obviously was not available to us to do last year. So people can come out here, again they can eat and drink in this particular area, and again it's another smoking area at half time that we can use. So we're moving now up to the upper section of the south stand, which services the upper areas. Again, you can see the theme of the concessions following all the way through that we saw in the north stand coming into the south stand. Again, this area here has started to have some, we'll have some dispense units in. We've still got some temporary units in there as a sort of a legacy of the game against Coventry. But the brewery again will be fitting this particular area up with beer pumps as well. So we've got some pie warmers, everything in there ready to go. And again, just a continuation of this bar here, another serving point round in this corner here. I think this was a former betting booth in days gone by. But again, it's just making use of all the available space that we have inside the stadium. So this is a new area which, again, we hope will work well. And then we've got a similar bar coming down to this end as well, at this end of the concourse as well. We're just looking at where we might put some televisions into this area. What we want to do is just monitor behaviour over the first couple of games, how people queue, where they go, so we locate those television sets in the best possible area. Again, you can see here the dispense points already in place and ready to go on Saturday. So we're now in the southwest lower corner of the south stand. We're looking here, which is a particular area of interest because we had a little bit of conflict between turnstiles, bars and gents toilets here on the first game. So we've been able to think this one through. So effectively, you've got the new bar units coming in here. Again, these weren't in place for the first game. Got another cellar through that particular area. That cellar, as well as serving the kiosk, serves the Montgomery Lounge upstairs, so it has a dual purpose. What we found coming into this on the Coventry game is the flow in from the turnstiles and directing people from the turnstiles in this way and either left or right to their seats, and managing to get some queuing system through here. So we are sort of 10 satering barrier off this particular area so people can come round. You can start to see the queuing system that we started to put in place down this particular end. And then what we've done here was, again, we had people coming through here to use the gents' toilets. And what we've done here is that you can see that we have just we've knocked through the wall and created another door around that particular area as well, just to ease the space into that one. And then when we get to half time, we can start then to open up this area, and again this becomes more milling space through here. These doors naturally of course are closed pre-match but open up at half time, and again we can utilise all this space. And the great thing about this lower concourse is that for the first time we are able now to serve alcohol because there is no view of the pitch. So the other thing we're conscious about for this weekend is that people will be, who didn't come to the Coventry game, a lot of people will be using this stand for the first time. They won't be familiar with which entrances to use because things have changed in terms of access to the former upper tier and the lower tier, which are now all one. So we've got as much signage as we possibly can, but we've asked for volunteers this week to come in who will help supporters locate them to their necessary seats as they enter the stadium. And I think after 2 to 3 games people will have got used to that. And particularly season ticket holders, and then the stewards will then have the knowledge. But I think what I would say is for these first few games, remember that as much as it's new for our supporters, it will also be a new experience for the majority of our stewards as well, and some of the people helping. So a bit of patience would be great, and maybe people using the south stand and the north stand may find it useful to arrive a little bit earlier just to familiarise themselves with their entrances and not be panicking 15-10 minutes before kick-off for what promises to be a large crowd with many seats in the south stand, a Fratton end already sold for the first home game of the season, which is fantastic. So again, a feature to the new DDA facilities is what we call a changing places room, and this is particularly designed with disabled supporters in mind. provides a whole host of accessibility needs, accessed by a radar key, which a lot of supporters who are disabled will have, but there will be a steward manning this door as well. And if we come into this area, you can see that this is we've got a hoist here, which again is something which will be a benefit to some of our supporters. A shower unit there as well. We can use this facility on non-match days for for clients and people attending events in the Victory Lounge. So and the beauty of this as well, it's I think it's going to be a really real welcome facility. A lot of venues have one, but going forward, Fratton Park's going to have two, because we're going to install a replica of this in the new sort of as part of the Milton sort of corner of the North Stand development for accessibility as well. So we'll have two of these facilities at either end of the stadium. But we're very proud of this, and I'm sure it will be welcomed by supporters with accessibility needs. So this is the disabled platform in the southeast corner. It's adjacent to the changing places room that we've just come from. This was an area that was talked about in the BBC Solent Forum in terms of shelter and cover. So one of the things we're looking at is, again, just to minimise the vortex, is to look at some cladding up the top side of these seats as well, which will reduce the sort of the wind tunnel effect coming in. We're getting the arrangement of this sorted as well. We can seat 5 wheelchairs on here. We just got to manage that process. And again, we're just looking at whether we can provide also some temporary shelter at this end as well to look after the supporters in this particular section. This is very much a temporary TV gantry that we've got to use for next season until we get the gantry higher up the stand complete, which actually will finish and complete the whole of the south stand. We weren't able to do that this summer because it's a big steel structure, and to do that in conjunction with the pitch programme that we had to put together means we'll do that next summer. So in the meantime, this is a temporary gantry here which will work for all our filming needs for next season. But from the 23-24 season, when the gantry is no longer required because we've got the high level gantry, this will then be replaced by more seats coming into this particular area. You can see behind me how the trusses now have all been revealed. Obviously we've got the situation here where the seat's on the back row, so we've not got the complete truss exposed, but I think it really sets it off in terms of the features that have been added, and brings home in what is our 125th year of formation the Archibald Leaf historic truss, which has been a feature of Fratton Park for many years, but sadly has been covered up for and not exposed for in recent times. So yeah, I think that really sets the stand off really nicely. We've cut through a couple of trusses on either side, and again, going forward, particularly on the side beyond me as well, we can recomplete those when the TV gantry is no longer required. So this is the area known as the Fratton Concourse, the area that links the entrance from Goldsmith Avenue coming all the way round with Anson Road at the far end. And this is an area that the Matchday Experience Working Party have been really keen to see us develop and build. The problem's always been that the away coach has traditionally parked right up adjacent to this end, so we have to drop the away players off at this, and because of the conflict between the coach and spectators coming from either end, we've not really been able to actually put much on a match day in this particular area, other than a few bars. But we've found a solution where the away coach can be placed elsewhere, and the away team can access from a separate entrance into the stadium, and that completely opens this area up now. So starting on Saturday, we're going to have some entertainment out here. We've got some DJ, we've got some inflatables from PITC, so some activity for the children, but it's an area that we really want to build on. So over the next sort of 5 to 6 games, we'll gradually increase the amount of activity in this area. And again, the representatives, support representatives of the Matchday Experience Working Party have come up with a number of ideas that we're going to trial and work out what works really well. But I think this is all part of the aim to improve the atmosphere, which a lot of supporters were clamouring for last season, and which we've been putting our heads together to find a solution, particularly that in terms of the conflict between vehicles coming in and spectators, which has prohibited us from doing anything in the future. So hopefully this will become something really, really special and become part of the whole experience of coming to Fratton Park on a match day and make for a great time.